All right, let's dive into something fascinating. We're going to explore two major spiritual traditions that, honestly, you probably wouldn't think to put in the same sentence: Islam's Qur'an and the Hindu philosophy of Advaita Vedanta. On the surface, they seem worlds apart. But what if, at their very core, they're pointing to the exact same truth? So that's the big question we're tackling today. Can two paths with different languages, cultures, and histories actually share the same ultimate vision of what reality is? Because when you start to look past the surface details, a really surprising resonance starts to appear.
Here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get into the absolute foundation of it all, the concept of oneness. Then we'll ask, okay, so what's our purpose in all this? After that, we'll see how this understanding shapes how we live, and finally, where this journey actually leads. It's going to be quite a ride.
Okay, let's start with the biggest idea of them all, the nature of reality itself. Both these traditions begin with this mind-bending concept that everything is, at its heart, a single, indivisible whole.
In Islam, this is called Tawheed. And it's not just an idea, it is the absolute bedrock of the entire faith. It's this powerful declaration that God is one, a singular, unique, and totally uncompromising unity.
And the Qur'an itself puts this in the clearest possible terms. Just listen to that language, uniquely singular. It's so absolute. There's no room for division, no room for comparison. It's a statement that there is only God, period.
Okay, now let's pivot to Advaita Vedanta. The name itself, Advaita, literally means not two. So right from the get-go, it's telling you we're talking about non-dualism. It says that ultimate reality, what it calls Brahman, is one single undivided consciousness.
Now listen to how an ancient Upanishad describes this. The phrasing is so deliberate. It doesn't just say one, it says one without a second. You see, that little phrase is designed to just completely eliminate any possibility that something else could exist alongside it.
So let's put them side by side, because this is where it gets really powerful. On one side, we have uniquely singular. On the other, one without a second. You know, different languages, different cultures, thousands of miles apart. But the source material argues that the core declaration is identical. An absolute, uncompromising unity is at the heart of everything.
Okay, so if reality is one, what does that mean for us? What are we even doing here? What's our purpose inside this grand, unified reality? That's the next layer we're going to peel back.
Now, at first, the language seems different. The Qur'an says our purpose is to worship. The Upanishads say it's to be realized. But the source material connects these dots in a really compelling way. It suggests that both are pointing to the same thing, a life dedicated to the inner work of recognizing and connecting with that divine source we just talked about. And this is absolutely crucial. This isn't just about reading a book or agreeing with a philosophy. Both traditions are clear. This is an internal journey, a process of discovery, not just an intellectual exercise.
And check this out. The Qur'an talks about the soul being inspired with its moral compass from within. At the same time, the Upanishads say you can't get to the self through intellect or learning alone. The parallel is striking, right? Awakening isn't about adding new knowledge from the outside, it's about uncovering a truth that was already there all along.
So what does this inner awakening actually look like in the real world? How does it change the way you live your life, the way you act, the way you treat people?
Well, the first thing is that it totally transforms your idea of religious practice. There's a shared, powerful warning that comes from both traditions. Ritual without real consciousness, without intention, is totally empty. Just going through the motions is meaningless. And the texts themselves are incredibly blunt about this. The Qur'an says it's not the physical sacrifice, but your mindfulness that reaches God. And the Upanishad is even more stark, calling the worship of empty ritual blinding darkness. Wow. The message could not be clearer. It's the inner state, not the outer form, that matters.
This inner alignment also has a really powerful social side. The source finds another clear parallel in the divine call for justice, or what, in the Vedic tradition, is known as dharma, which is all about living a righteous, ethical life.
I mean, the command in the Qur'an is just staggering. Stand for justice, even if it's against yourself or your own family. And in the Bhagavad Gita, justice is so important that the divine literally intervenes in the world to restore it. In both views, justice isn't just a nice social idea, it's a direct expression of the divine.
And all of these ideas, the rituals, the call for justice, how we relate to each other, they all keep bringing us back to one central theme, to the number that really defines this entire worldview, 1.
This famous verse from the Rig Veda just says it so perfectly.
Truth is one. Sages call it by many names. And the source connects this directly to the Quranic idea that humanity was made diverse not to create conflict, but so we could get to know each other. It's the same beautiful idea. The many paths and names are just different ways of talking about the same single underlying reality.
So where does this journey of worship, of realization, of justice, where does it all lead? What's the final stop? Well, according to the source, the great paradox is that the end of the search is realizing you never had to go anywhere. You were already there.
The Qur'an uses this absolutely stunning, intimate metaphor. God isn't some distant king on a throne in the sky. God is closer to you than your own lifeblood.
And now just listen to the echo in the Upanishads. This divine reality isn't just close to you, it is you. It's your very self, the immortal core of your being. In these verses, both traditions completely collapse any sense of distance between the human and the divine.
So, after looking at all these parallels, in the nature of reality, our purpose in life, and how we're meant to live, what's the final takeaway from the source material?
It all boils down to this simple but incredibly profound statement. The source argues that while the cultural and linguistic filters, the names, the stories, the rituals, are many, the essential truth they are all pointing to is one.
And that leaves us with a pretty provocative question to think about. If these spiritual paths, which look so different on the outside, are at their core pointing toward the same destination, well then how should that change the way we walk our own path and how we view the paths of others?